You know, people put a lot of work into these representations, you know, and there's thousands of them. They weren't messing around. These are serious pieces of work. You know, we don't understand them, but that doesn't mean that the people who created them didn't know what they were doing. These were geniuses who created these pieces of work. It's not like they understood in an articulated manner exactly what they were trying to represent. But what they were representing were the metaphors at the core of our culture. To the degree that our culture is functional and good, these are the metaphors upon which it's founded. And they're not for the faint of heart, you know. You say religion is the opiate of the masses. It's like, yeah, then how do you explain this? Exactly. You know, because if it was opiates you're after, you might just get rid of that panel. Especially when the other thing that's so interesting about the proposition, if you look at Revelations, and in Revelation, and you look at the judgment, almost everyone ends up on the right side of this panel. So if you were just conjuring up some sort of pathetic wish fulfillment, why in the world would you tilt the scales in that manner? You think that's supposed to make people feel good? I don't think so. There's almost nothing about this picture that should make people feel good. It should, if you understand it properly, it should terrify you to the depths of your soul. That's what the picture is for. Therefore, whoever heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the winds blew, and the floods came and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them not shall be likened unto a foolish man which built his house upon the sand. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it... Oh, I made a mistake. And it fell, for it was founded upon sand. And it came to pass, this is a very interesting line. I really, you know, now and then you run across lines in this particularly happens in biblical settings. You run across lines that you cannot believe actually exist. You cannot imagine how someone could have imagined up and conjured up the line. And these two lines are like that as far as I'm concerned. And it came to pass when Jesus had ended these sayings that people were astonished at his doctrine, for he taught them as one having authority and not as the scribes. And that's something so interesting, you know, because that was another thing that really I didn't really appreciate about the churches that I attended to, and that would be that the lessons were taught by scribes, and the words were mouthed, but there was no power in them. There was no meaning in them. It was as if, well, it was like when I was 20 years old and I was saying all these things I didn't mean. You know, they were words that sounded good. They were like gilded cloth, I suppose, that you can wrap around yourself, but there's no substance to them. And there's a big difference between listening to something that has substance and listening to something that is spoken because it sounds like it should sound good. And this line says that whoever spoke the lines that we just described was someone who sounded like he knew what he was talking about, and not someone who was just repeating something for the sake of sounding good. And it certainly seems to me that the lines that we just reviewed have the awesome impact of authority